WFYI podcasts are made possible by Bloomington, Indiana, an American college town offering experiences like indulging in grub at Nick's English Hut, taking a stroll along Kirkwood Avenue, feeling the history and magic of Assembly Hall, and providing the chance to feel like a college kid again. Plan your trip at visitbloomington.com.
I'm Kyle Long, host of Cultural Manifesto, just one of the local music programs you can enjoy on WFYI. These programs would not be possible without your financial support. And to say thank you, we want to send you to see Lyle Lovett when he comes to Indianapolis on July 28th. Choose a concert ticket as your gift when you donate at wfyi.org/give. And thanks for supporting WFYI.
This is WFYI News Now. It's May 29th, and I'm Abriana Herron. On today's show, Medicaid officials say the state completed its final unwinding renewals in March. Students can apply for Indiana's Career Scholarship Account program for the upcoming school year. And some young people in Indiana with family ties to Palestine are overwhelmed by watching daily updates on the war in Gaza.
I can't focus on school, I can't focus on work, I can't focus on my day-to-day activities. It's hard to focus on yourself mentally. Physically, you start, just dropping the ball.
Those stories coming up. But first, over the past few years, the Biden administration has facilitated billions of dollars in statewide public and private investments in areas such as infrastructure, clean energy, and manufacturing. As Indiana Public Broadcasting's Violet Cumber-Weiland reports, one economist says the investments could provide strong benefits for Hoosiers.
Phil Powell is the executive director of the Indiana Business Research Center. He says that of the more than $32 billion invested, the amount invested in infrastructure represents almost 5% of the state's economy. He says these investments will have long-lasting advantages.
But government money that goes toward infrastructure, the benefits last a long time. When you build a road and that road lasts 30 years, that's a really good investment for the Hoosier economy. That's very different than income support programs that simply give money and it's not an investment.
Powell also says a lot of this money will be used to modernize existing infrastructure and build the capacity of clean energy in the state. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Violet Cumber-Weiland.
A significant number of Hoosiers lost their Medicaid coverage during a process known as Unwinding, following the end of the COVID-19 public health emergency. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Abigail Ruman reports Medicaid officials say the state completed its final unwinding renewals in March.
The state still has a couple of months of a reconsideration period for people who lost coverage at the end of the Medicaid unwinding period, but state data shows Medicaid enrollment is about 540,000 more than February of 2020, with continuous coverage requirements for children being a major contributing factor. The federal health insurance marketplace has a special enrollment period for people who lost coverage because of the unwinding. Nana Spinner is the director of eligibility and member services at the Office of Medicaid Policy and Planning. She says that enrollment period has been extended through November.
This extends that period until the regular open enrollment opens, so it does give them kind of a longer runway to find other coverage if they found that they are no longer eligible for Medicaid.
Spinner says most people who lost coverage qualify to have their account transferred to the federal marketplace. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Abigail Ruman.
Students can now apply for Indiana's Career Scholarship Account program for the upcoming school year. As Indiana Public Broadcasting's Kirsten Adair reports, the program provides 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students with up to $5,000 a year to enroll in eligible internships, apprenticeships, and other work-based learning experiences.
The state funding covers expenses for students' training, career coaching, certification, and credentialing exams. Students' equipment and some transportation costs are also covered. The program debuted last fall. Local schools, businesses, and colleges can apply to provide students with work experience through the program. Students can work for businesses in the aeronautic, automotive, medical, and legal fields, to name a few. Ball State, Indiana University, and Ivy Tech Community College also participate in the program. The Indiana Treasurer of State, the program's administrator, says there are nearly 2,000 spots open for students to participate in the CSA program during the 2024-2025 school year. Applications are due by October 1st. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Kirsten Adair.
And for our final story today, the first in a series of 3 features we're bringing to you this week. The Israel-Hamas war and October 7th have deep social impacts across the U.S., including here in Indiana. From protests and student sit-ins to calls for local government statements to private grief at home, it could also influence elections in November. WFYI reporters are talking with people willing to share how the war impacts their lives. And this is one of the stories. On Indiana's college campuses, Muslim students say they feel an incredible emotional toll as the war drags on. Sydney Dauphiné reports on how a recent graduate struggles to find balance.
Yaqub Sada graduated this month from Indiana University, Indianapolis, with a degree in psychology, but he wasn't celebrating with his friends during the last weeks of his undergrad.
I just feel like, how can I function normally and do everything normally when my home country is undergoing these atrocities?
I met Sada at the Campus Center, a place where he and other students talk about the war and advocate for Palestinians. He was born and raised in Fishers, but his family is from Palestine. His grandmother and father were displaced from the conflict in Gaza in the late 1960s.
My parents did not choose to come here. They did not they did not come to America, and they didn't have the American dream in mind. It was displacement. They couldn't live in their country, so they had to come here to survive. And I was born into that. I also didn't have a choice for it, but I'm very privileged and lucky for it.
Sada grew up advocating for Palestinian freedom because of his family's experience.
I have pictures of myself literally when I was like 9 years old, 10 years old, at the Monument Circle down here in downtown, holding up the same posters that say, "Save Gaza, save the children, stop killing children." It's something I've been involved in for so long. It's been like literally my entire life's purpose.
But it became overwhelming in the past months.
This is like the most HD live broadcasted genocide to have been ever seen in history.
Sada watches the daily reports about Gaza since October, when Hamas militants launched a deadly attack on Israel. Now, more than 10,000 women and children have since been killed in the Gaza Strip, according to a revised death toll from the United Nations. He says it's all taking a toll on him.
I can't focus on school. I can't focus on work. I can't focus on my day-to-day activities. It's hard to focus on yourself mentally. Physically, you start, just dropping the ball.
As Sada struggles with these challenges, he's also confronted by rising discrimination from some on campus and the media.
I've been called a terrorist before. People have said I am a terrorist sympathizer. People say that I don't stand for what's right because I'm a Palestinian. It's all just these little, some people consider microaggressions. I just think it's blatant racism and discrimination.
Sada isn't the only student feeling this. At another college campus, Imam Anis Adni says he understands the pain many feel about the war. He is the Muslim Life Advisor at Butler University, where he tries to foster a safe and welcoming culture for Muslim students.
And with the drastic increase in Islamophobia in our society, I feel a moral obligation, a sense of responsibility to be there for these youth the way that elders were there for me.
Adni says he's become a first responder as he helps students process trauma, personally and what they see from Gaza in the news and social media.
I can be present, I can be willing, I can be open, I can be supportive. But anybody can do that. That's not just me, as a chaplain, as an imam. All of us can do that for each other. All of us can be there for each other.
Adni says Palestine is at the heart of everything for him and others. As Muslim students speak out through protests and encampments in Indiana and beyond, they found students of other faiths and no faith have joined them.
I think it's hard on everyone individually, but knowing that we're not alone is helping everyone get through the day, the week, the month, the year.
Now Sada is home in Fishers with his family. He's applying for jobs in social work. He wants to help abused and neglected children. Later, he may seek another degree so he can help kids with war-related PTSD. But for now, his true focus remains.
And I also do hope that people still keep their focus on Gaza, because the people of Gaza are literally, it's a race against time, like every single day.
I'm Sydney Dauphiné.
For more on this story, you can go to WFYI.org/news. And that's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by the following people who live in your community: Drew Daudelin, Kendall Antron, who composed the music for this podcast, and me, Abriana Herron. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.
WFYI podcasts are made possible by Bloomington, Indiana, an American college town offering experiences like indulging in grub at Nick's English Hut, taking a stroll along Kirkwood Avenue, feeling the history and magic of Assembly Hall, and providing the chance to feel like a college kid again. Plan your trip at visitbloomington.com.